In the last video, I mentioned that in this one, we would be exploring Handlebar's partials. Now we are still going to cover partials, but I'm pushing that back to the next video. In this one, I want to take a quick moment to talk about how we can customize how Handlebars is set up. I want to do that first because in the next video, we're going to have to do that further to actually get partials to work. So the goal in this very quick video is to learn how we can customize the location and the name of the views directory. Right now it has to be in that location, the root of the project, and it has to have the name views. To get started, let's go ahead and change the directory name and watch things fail. So right here, I'm going to rename views over to something like templates. Now, both directory names let you know what's inside. The problem is that Express is not looking for a templates directory. So if we were to go ahead and refresh any of the pages on our site that use a template, we would see an error message like the following. Error. Failed to look up view help in views directory, and it's pointing to where it's expecting the views directory to live. That is in the root of the web server project, in a folder called views. We had that previously, which is why things worked. We no longer have that, which is why things are failing. Now, this is just the default location that Express expects your views to live in. You can always customize that, but to customize it, you have to tell Express where to look. And this is going to require us to create a brand new path. So let's go ahead and define one similar to how we defined public directory path. Right here, I'm going to define a constant, which I'll call views path, and I'm going to set this equal to an absolute path to that views folder, which I've called templates. So I'll use path.join like I did up above, and we'll start with __dir name. And remember, that is the path to the folder this file lives in, which would be the source directory. That's not what we want. So we'll go ahead and provide another argument to alter that path. We're going to use ... to go up a directory like we did when we needed to point to the public folder. Then instead of /public, it is /templates. Perfect. Now that we have this in place, we need to tell Express to use this path, and we do that by using another app.set call. So just down below, app.set, and we're going to go ahead and set up another setting for Express, and this one is called views. We don't have to set it in order to use Handlebars. We've already proven that. But if we do set it, it's to the views directory we'd like to use. And in this case, we just created a variable that stores that path. Now that we are correctly pointing Express to our custom directory, things are going to start working again. Down below, after saving the file, the server did restart. Over here, I'll refresh the page, and what do I get? I get my template rendering once again like it was when we had the views directory. The only difference is that we've customized its name, and we can now further customize its location, putting it in a nested directory if we wanted to. We could put it anywhere we want as long as we update the views path to point to it. Now that we have this in place, let's take a quick moment to organize our Express configuration a little more. I'm going to break out these two lines into their own little section, adding a comment to remind us what's going on here. We'll add other paths later. So for now, we can title this little section something like define paths for Express config. Down below, we have these three lines. Now, the first two are specific to Handlebars, and the last one is more general. So I'm going to take those first two lines and add a comment for them. Setup, Handlebars, engine, and views location. And then finally, we could add a comment for this line if we want to remember what it does, as it's not very often we're going to end up changing it, and it could be easy to forget. Something like setup static directory to serve. Excellent. Now that we have things in place, our application is looking really good, and the last thing I want to do is walk you through the Express documentation really quick so you can learn how to use it to figure out all of the stuff that we figured out throughout the videos. The Express documentation, as we explored earlier, is over at expressjs.com. expressjs.com, and once we're here, we are looking for the API reference page. Now, the API reference walks through every single thing available, and it's a really nice set of documentation. So over here, we have a few very high-level things. We have the express function, which we've already used. As we can see here, there's not a whole lot to it. We simply call it to generate a new instance of the application. We also have application. This refers to our app variable over here. And if I were to click on that, down below under methods, we can see all of the methods we've used. We have app.get, app.listen, and others like app.set and app.use. As you can see, there are plenty of others, but the reason I'm bringing you here is to quickly pull up documentation for app.set. Now, we already know how it works. We call it, we pass in the name of the setting we're trying to set and the value we want to set. But down below, it also contains a table of all of the built-in settings that can be set that Express is actually going to do something with. There are about a dozen or so, and near the bottom under V, we have views and we have View Engine, both of which we've already used in our application. The documentation is fantastic. It walks you through exactly what value should be set and what exactly the setting is going to do. Now, we also have request, response, and router. We're going to explore router later in the class. Request and response contain documentation for the request and response objects that are callbacks for a route get passed. So if I click on request, we can see all of the things we can do with that object. And if I click on response, we can see all of the options we have here, including a couple that we've used, response.send. We could learn how to use that even though we already know how to use that. And we also have response.render just up above, and here it talks about how to use Express with a template engine. So I just wanted to take a quick moment to walk you through the documentation for Express, so you can get a feel for how exactly it works and how you can use it to discover new features and customize your application further. That's where we're going to stop for this video. In the next video, as I promised previously, we will actually explore how to work with Handlebars partials. I'm excited to get to that, so stay tuned, and I'll see you then.